Hi, my name is Yannicka Trent. I'm a parent of a child that is in school currently at Clayton High School. I also had a daughter that graduated from Clayton High School. My son actually had started having problems in the sixth grade, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with him, what was going on with him basically. And so they did testing in January of 2006. After the testing, they suggested that I take him to a neurologist. I took him to a neurologist at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and the neurologist basically did tests and everything, and they stated that he has dyspraxia. I think that the school there at Riverwood did an excellent job. They went through and pinpointed the things that he could do, the things that he couldn't do. And so when it was all said and done, it came down to the fact that he could not sit and copy something off of the board and write it down on paper, or something off of over an overhead and write it down on the paper. That was actually the worst part of his dyspraxia, which we were relieved because he doesn't have a learning disability. He just has one issue that, wow, that's easily taken care of. So at Riverwood, they gave him a 504 plan and gave him an Alpha Smart. He excelled and just excelled with this Alpha Smart. He did so well. He managed to get through the 7th grade, the 8th grade. He went to Clayton High School for the 9th grade, and they said, well, he has a 504 plan. That is not considered special needs. It's not an IEP, and our Alpha Smarts is only for those with an IEP. So we can't give him an Alpha Smart. So we worked out something different, and they changed his 504 plan to make it that if the teachers had an overhead projector or something to copy off the board, that they would give him a copy of their notes so that he could write it down. And the teachers were, very compliant to that, and they were okay with that. Once he got to the 10th grade, that summer I was constantly saying, okay, let's, do this 504 plan. Oh, we'll wait and we'll get it during the summer. And I says, well, we need to have a 504 plan meeting before school starts. Oh, we'll get it before school. We got very close to, a couple of weeks before school started, and I was still getting a runaround about doing this 504 plan meeting for my son. When I finally pinpointed them down and got to, look, we got to have this meeting, then they were pretty, saying adamant about, well, he really don't need a 504 plan. He really only has one thing wrong with him, and he doesn't have ADHD, so he doesn't need a 504 plan. And I says, well, my son has dyspraxia, and this is something that actually does, cause him problems. And so he actually does need a 504 plan. And, I went through a lot of problems and issues. I had to go through another meeting where they decided that no, we're not going to do a 504 plan for him. I ended up calling Dr. Johnston down at the school board to find out if the things that they were telling me were correct. And come to find out, the things that they were telling me were not correct. The things that they were telling me at Clayton High School was that he didn't need a 504 plan, that the teachers would go ahead and let him just, copy those notes or whatever, or the fact that he doesn't qualify for a 504 plan because he doesn't have a learning disability, so he doesn't need a 504 plan, and the fact that his 504 plan ran out because we didn't have a meeting in time, and
who didn't have a meeting in time?
And so the thing is I, told them, listen, he is going to have a 504 plan. I was contacting you guys before school ended for his 9th grade year about having a 504 plan meeting. I contacted you throughout the summer. I contacted you at the beginning of the school year, and I have it documented because I have the emails showing that I was contacting you all to get this meeting, for my son, because Riverwood Middle School was very good at letting me know and telling me all the different things about the 504 plan. They told me don't ever let it expire, don't ever let it run out, and so that's one of the reasons why I was on them about having this meeting and not letting it expire.
How long did it take for you to get that meeting?
The meeting took place about halfway through the semester, where he actually had one teacher that was refusing to give him copies of the notes because the plan, she said the plan wasn't an active plan. She wasn't given a 504 plan in the beginning of the school year.
So it took you 2 to 3 months for them to do anything?
It took 2 to 3 months before I could even actually get in there and really start fighting for my son's rights.
Wow.
My son's rights were definitely violated, and I was very upset. The principal was invited to come into one of the meetings, and the one teacher that was there saying that I'm not going to give him copies of my notes.
The teachers were not cooperative.
She said she was not going to do it. The principal actually called me into a meeting in his office, about a week later, and told me that, my son didn't need a 504 plan, that he could actually tell the teachers to give, what to do, basically. If I tell these teachers what to do, then they're going to do it. And I said, you were right in the meeting when the teacher said that she was not giving him a copy of the notes. He needs those right now. And she adamantly in the meeting said she wasn't going to do it, and you didn't make her do it then,
What did the principal say about her not cooperating?
The principal said that she would do whatever he told her to do.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there thinking, duh.
But did she do it?
Through that.
Did she do it?
She never did give him a copy of the notes. Never, ever, ever through that whole semester. Never, ever, ever did she give him not one copy of one note. But the principal got about this close to my face and asked me why I was fighting this so hard. Why didn't I trust him? Why was I so adamant about him having this 504 plan?
Was that intimidating for you?
It was supposed to be intimidating to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was really supposed to be extremely intimidating to me.
How close did he get to your face again?
He was this close to my face.
And how was he talking to you? Was his facial expressions?
His facial expression was just bland. It wasn't angry or mean or anything like that. It was just bland. He was saying, why don't you trust me? Why don't you drop this 504 plan? Why don't you just let him, be a regular student, and I will, guide my teachers in what to do. And I told him no. I said, no, Principal Eves, not that I don't trust you, I really don't know you. I know my son's rights, and I know what my son's needs are, okay? And my son needs this 504 plan. He has a couple more years still left in high school, and, we want to make sure that, his dyspraxia is not going away. It is not going away.
So the teacher didn't want to cooperate. So the teacher didn't want to cooperate with the 504 plan, and the principal did not want to even go by the plan. He didn't want to do anything with the plan.
The principal wanted me to
drop
the 504 plan.
So she wouldn't do what it was. So the teacher wouldn't do what was called to be done in the 504 plan, and the principal did not want to even adhere to the plan or even acknowledge the plan. They wanted the plan to be dropped.
He wanted me to drop the plan. I believe he understood that if we had a plan, he'd have to adhere to it.
Right.
I believe he understood that.
That's right.
But at the present time, the counselor was telling him that the plan was not valid because the plan had expired. So he was probably feeling at that time that he didn't have to adhere to it. He was just trying to get me to not to pursue the plan and put another one in place, or to have it continue, because he knew that I was within my rights in requesting that this plan continues. My thing is, I felt that my son's rights were violated. I felt that I was trying to be intimidated into not doing what was right and what was best for my son. I felt like if he was sincere about giving my son the things that he needed, then he would have made that teacher give him the notes. He would have understood this young man has dyspraxia. This is not something that the doctors just write up. This is a letter from the doctor. This is, it's not going away. He was born with this. This is what he has. So I just felt like, no, I can't trust someone like that, because he was not really acknowledging, my son's needs. And that's the bottom line. My son did get another 504 plan in play. He did not get his Alpha Smart back, and Principal Eves did not allow him to have a laptop in class either. But the next semester, he had great teachers, marvelous teachers, and they let my son use their computers that they had in their classroom computers to take notes. And that was excellent. My son is an excellent typer. He was the top typist in the 6th grade class. The whole 6th grade class, he was the top typist. You know, so giving him those tools, you know, gave him a level playing field. Without those tools, my son does not have a level playing field. And yes, he does take AP classes. Yes, he does take honors classes because he does not have a learning disability. He only has dyspraxia, which he only needs the use of a laptop or an Alpha Smart just so that he can type and write down the notes. That's it. That gives him the level playing field just like anyone else, you know, at that school. And so my son is now a senior. We do have a 504 plan in place. And I don't have to go to any more 504 plan meetings. It is in place for a whole nother year. And I am not anticipating having any other problems with this situation. But
just the whole
do know and understand
process.
that, you know, I am a strong individual and I am a social worker. I was not intimidated because I know that people have to advocate for themselves and their children. And I was advocating for my son, and I knew I was doing the right thing. And I just encourage other parents to please continue to advocate for your children. You know, that principal could have dropped dead the next day, and no one would have known anything about what my son's needs were. You have to have it in writing. If your child deserves or is supposed to have a 504 plan or an IEP, don't let anybody change your mind about that. Put it in writing. Put it in writing. Because the principal may be fired a year from now or 2 years from now. You never know. You don't know what can happen. People are just people. But black and white, words in black and white, those are things that you can live on. So make sure that you advocate for your children. Make sure that you know that it's your job to advocate and protect your children. That the school is not going to be up there looking at your child's best interests always. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to tell my story, and that's one of the reasons why I feel that we need to fight harder for our children's education.
Very good. Very good. Just one more question.
Yes.
From the time frame that you first started to the time frame that he finally got the new 504 plan, how long was that?
He got his new 504 plan when was that? I believe it might have been November, December. It was months later. The semester was pretty much over.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel